talked about the Fever ads, specifically Natasha Howard when that move first went down. But there was something Howard said in her introductory media duties that stuck with me, specifically as it pertains to not only her fit on the team, but alongside Caitlin Clark. And Howard has this nickname, Flash, right? I feel like so much has happened. This one specific aspect of her game is being lost in some of the analysis. And she was the defensive player of the year in 2019. And I get that. And they've brought in tough, like Cunningham is tough, right? And Bonner is tough. And Howard is tough. And Cunningham, I think, helps them defensively more than people realize, size on the wing. Bonner helps them defensively. But it's Howard's offense that really intrigues me, specifically her rim running and her ability to catch and finish in transition, something that the Fever really missed and lacked last year. And she had this to say when she was talking to Pat Boylan in her introductory, moment, and these words stuck with me.
If I think of your game, maybe the signature thing that stands out above all else is your rim running, kind of dashing across the floor. Flash is the nickname. Even as a rookie, there's no better player in this league at finding players like that than Caitlin Clark. I mean, that's something you've been successful at in all your career, but what do you anticipate that being like, getting to play with somebody that has the vision and the ability to make those passes happen?
It's going to be Caitlin Clark Flash Show. So it's going to be phenomenal playing with a point guard, like you said, that have a good vision on the court, because that's like as soon as she gets the ball in her hand, she's throwing it up because she already see the person down the court before she even get the ball in her hand. So that's one thing I love about her vision on the court. I really can't wait to catch all those passes and give her all the assists that she needs.
So like that's she's anticipating eating there, right? She's going to get down the floor, catch, finish, down the floor, catch, finish. And the Fever are going to go at you quickly, right? Like not only do they have more options in the half court now because they have more scoring, not only did they add shooting because you bring in Cunningham, you already had Hull, you already had Mitchell, and you already had Clark, but you bring a dimension that was lacking a little bit, specifically with the way Caitlin likes to push the ball up the floor. And I think Bonner will help in that regard too, but specifically Howard. And she might get, 6 to 8 points a game that way. Something ridiculous. And here's some of the highlights just to, familiarize you with what I'm talking about. If you hadn't seen, look, there I am on YouTube's recommendations here. But you see, like, attacking the basket. Not all this is transition, but it shows you how she can get downhill and really get to the rim. These are just some of the highlights from the Fever had put in a video package. But again, downhill. The Fever did not really have anyone who got downhill with size last season. And I think you can tell immediately with these, look, catching underneath, finishing underneath. These are the kind of plays, I mean, especially if she's going to hit those shots. And she's going to be locked in the lab taking those shots. Because she's going to get so many of those, playing off of Clark and playing off of Mitchell and playing off of Boston. She can score in a variety of ways. But, yeah, that was a nice edit by them. That's exactly what I'm talking about. The get-ahead passes. There she is. Scoop. So, I think all the subsequent moves have, dampened each individual move, because you saw there was a lot of attention around the Cunningham trade because it was a surprise. The Fever, we didn't know they would be involved in that. So I think that was, wow, look at this. And then the Bonner thing, it's like, wow, holy crap, right? Like they got Bonner. And, some of that was going back on what had been said, online narratives, WNBA legacy narratives and the like. And then the Colson thing comes out and it's like, whoa, face of the league. No. But, Colson, an Aces member, associated with Asia Wilson and that group. And people are like, oh, I can't believe it. So it's like these one after the other. And each individual one becomes part of this big Fever free agency period. But if you go back to the order of operations, right? Priority number one was Kelsey Mitchell. And Well, I think the order of operations started, to be fair, with Stephanie White and the new front office, right? Like new front office comes in, new head coach comes in. That was order of business number one. But when it came to free agency, order of business number one and priority number one was Kelsey Mitchell. What came next? Howard. Now, I don't know if that, necessarily means it was how they power rank things or some of this stuff is transactional. You need to create room for this or that. But I do believe when it's all said and done, that may be the most significant move of all of the moves because of that one particular aspect I'm talking about. But the good thing is all of those players that they're bringing in bring a degree of versatility in what they can do. Coulson probably going to play limited minutes, but she's a tenacious perimeter defender. So maybe there's spot minutes she plays alongside Clark to really just mess things up. Or you throw a Hull in there, really mess things up frenetically. Because I think people are shortchanging, Lexi Hull's still going to have a huge role in the team. You got to play, 8 or 9, and Hull's in the top 7, the way I look at it. So she's going to play plenty. And I think Hull could benefit actually in that bench role, like hybrid role. And she's going to get those open shots and she continues to bring the energy. There's another piece. Cunningham is another piece, that toughness I mentioned, and the size. So that's where Cunningham has the advantage in that, she could shoot 2, but she's got the size. And then she could be a small ball 4 situationally. So could Bonner. Bonner has the experience, of course, and the versatility to do a lot of things. I mean, we know what Kelsey Mitchell brings to the table. That's why she was priority number 1. But I think like the specific ad, this is a team that needed toughness and defense, and they got that. All of the players I just mentioned help the defense, and all of the players I just mentioned help with the toughness, and all of the players I just mentioned help make the Fever prolific even more so offensively than they were. But I think this one specific thing that Howard does is going to be a dimension that changes the dynamics of how you're going to have to be on your toes at all times, or on your heels, I guess, at all times, if you're the defense. And then, you play out of that. That doesn't come to fruition. You still got Kelsey Mitchell to get you a bucket. You could still go down to Boston. You could still spray it out to Cunningham or Hull. You could still, have Bonner attack. There's just lots of options. How many do I really have in stock? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 5. But I do believe that the Natasha Howard, that Flash and CC connection that she mentioned right there, could be a special one that we might have been sleeping on just a little bit.